Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help. And King of Floors, your vinyl, laminate, and engineered flooring superstore.
Just waiting on Craig Button, TSN Scouting Director. It is Tuesday, and all of our guests today are sponsored by Skipper Auto, supporting Canadian fishing families through a revolutionary seafood buying experience. Check them out at skipperauto.com. While we wait on Craig, let's update the poll question.
Yeah, let's do that. What NHL event do you care about more this week, the expansion draft or the entry draft? And right now, 584 votes. 52% say well, hold it a second, 688 votes. 53% say entry draft, 46 say expansion. Expansion is the guys,
something different. You don't get it every year.
But Donnie, you're losing a player you've left unprotected, right? And in the entry draft, you're gaining a future massive building block. I mean, for me, it's got to be the entry draft.
You know, we didn't talk about yesterday when we talked about possibilities. I know he makes a lot of money, or at least has a big cap hit. But there's only 1 year left in his contract. Would P.K. Subban be a fit for the Seattle Kraken?
Oh, Seattle. I thought you were going to say Vancouver.
Well, hey, at one point they were interested.
They were. Before he went to the Devils, the Canucks were definitely in on him. I remember his agent saying they were definitely deep in talks.
And as far as Subban going to Seattle, would that be a fit?
No, I don't see it. It's a lot of money. His cap hit, Donnie, is still
$9 million cap hit, but for 1 year. Yesterday we didn't really focus a lot on Ryan Johansson either. We probably should have had him on that list. $8 million cap hit with the Nashville Predators. He's left unprotected.
Yeah,
Rick,
I agree. Yep.
Yeah.
We got Craig
we have
on.
Okay. Craig.
You do a splendid job of killing time. You're one of the best in the business.
Yes.
What's it called? Was it ragging the puck?
Ragging the puck.
Yeah, ragging the puck.
Tap dancing. Joining us now, TSN Scouting Director, as always on a Tuesday, Craig Button. Thanks for doing this, sir. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Sorry for being a couple of minutes late. I was just in the middle finishing a pickleball match. So
really?
Oh, we were right down to the wire. We ended up losing 11-8.
Did you come out unscathed, uninjured?
You know what, you guys? I don't take the same risks I did a few months ago.
That was nasty. You know what? I saw it for the first time live. I drove by a tennis court, and I saw some people playing out there. It looks really fun, like a whole lot of fun and a lot of exercise. Have I got that right, Craig?
You do, and you know, there's also the social aspect, like you know the people, and you play in groups and you swing around. There's leagues and whatnot, and so it's a lot of fun. And you know, it can be competitive and friendly, and you know, it doesn't tax you in a big way like squash or tennis. With so it's a nice sport for everybody, and you know, it's a sport that's really growing. So it's good to. I have fun doing it. So
yeah, I can see why after seeing it live for the first time. Okay, Craig, first time we've had you since the Canucks make a deal. What can you tell us about the newest Canuck, Jason Dickinson?
Yeah, really good, solid two-way player. He's not going to give tons of offense. And when I say tons, I mean, I would expect him to give you somewhere between 30 and 40 points, probably closer to 40. But he kills penalties. He's a good skater. He's competitive. He can play with good players. So there's a lot of different areas of the game that Travis Green can use him in. And, you know, when you look at the player of that age and where he sits, you know, I got to be straightforward with you guys. I hear a lot of talk about a third-round pick was a high price. No, it wasn't. No, it isn't. You know, for Jason Dickinson, a regular NHL player, if you're drafting somebody in the third round and you look at, you know, the history and what you get out of it, you know, this is a really good move, I think, for the Vancouver Canucks. And the price is not high at all. It's a reasonable price. And in fact, you know, I don't think you get that price if there's not an expansion. And Dallas was trying to find a way to, you know, protect Jason Dickinson. I know they like him, but, you know, the price to protect him was going to be higher than what they were able to get in return. So I think it's a real solid move for the Vancouver Canucks.
Craig, we're getting a lot of this this morning. There's a lot of talk, and I'm putting you on the spot here. There's a lot of talk going around about the possibility of the Montreal Canadiens offering Elias Pettersson an offer sheet. Have you heard anything about that, and would it make sense?
Well, I mean, offer sheets, as I've said often and many times over the years, they have been unsuccessful at every single turn for star players. And I'm going back into the 90s. Go back, Joe Sakic, Keith Tkachuk. They've all been unsuccessful. So why would the Vancouver Canucks lose Elias Pettersson? And you know what? Like I hear it every year. Oh, yeah, there's going to be offer sheets. I don't think there'll be offer sheets because unless you're going to do something like, offer the player the max, give him 8 years times the 20%, that's, and you think Montreal can afford to do that? Just go look at their salary cap.
Yeah.
They can't. So, you know what? Again, I hear it. I know everybody kind of like, oh boy, could this be the year? No. And the Vancouver Canucks are not going to lose Elias Pettersson. And the Montreal Canadiens have already shown that they're not very adept at putting in offer sheets. Sebastian Aho comes to mind.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, right there just last year. Hey, Craig, let's talk about Port Moody's Kent Johnson. Your gut, where is it telling you he's going this week?
I did a mock draft today, Rick. I think going right to, I have going right to Vancouver.
Yeah,
come on. I mean,
but last week you had him at 14.
He's got you there, Rick.
Last week, Craig, you had him at 14, and so now
that was my Craigslist.
Ah,
see, two very different exercises. So my Craigslist is about potential, where I see the players, down the road, and the mock draft is where I think a player could fit.
Okay.
And so that's very different exercises. So and the mock draft is a lot of fun. I mean, you get to play GM for in this year's draft 31 players because Arizona doesn't have a pick. But all in all, it's just a fun. Like who would fit? Why would they fit? And listen, I'd like to tell you, I absolutely know. I don't. The NHL teams don't even know who they're going to draft, other than Buffalo right now. So, you sit back and you try to see where would be a nice fit, what would be a nice story, where a team could use a certain type of player, a certain position, and I have a lot of fun with it.
Hey, Craig, talked to a lot of scouts this year. The video work, they weren't happy. They weren't at the rink as much as they wanted to. All this video work, will it affect teams picking in the late rounds, do you think?
Here's what I say overall. So I'm going to start with an overarching thing, and then I'll go to the video, Rick.
Okay.
So overarching is that, there was 13 months where players just did not have an opportunity to perform. And in the same breath, the NHL teams that get a chance to watch them. So regardless of how much video you have or how little you have, you don't have very many games to watch.
Yes.
So where the video work comes in now, and that's going to create. I mean, there's always uncertainty going into the draft. I mean, I've said this often. Teams are trying to build up their level of confidence in the players they're selecting, first round, second round, into the later rounds, as you point out. But you're trying to go back and use video from previous years and try to, use that as a projection. But these 13 months from March of 2020 when the leagues got shut down, the sporadic starts, stops, beginnings, ends of different leagues, and for the players, it was really difficult. So I think that there's massive uncertainty in this year's draft. The NHL teams are trying to do everything they can to try to utilize whatever means they are available to them. And in this case, it is video. It's just not video of real important times and players' progression. And that's, that time, call it the 16 months prior into their draft year. Those are real significant. That's a real significant time frame for evaluation. Last year was different. There was a real strong body of work by the players. There isn't the same thing this year. So there's going to be a lot of uncertainty, Rick. And I think, my belief is in this year's draft, and it's not much different than the other, but to me, you're picking, starting the second round, swing for the fences. Swing for the fences. Go for the top pair defenseman. Go for the skilled guy. Go for a goal. Just go swing for the fences. Don't be safe.
We're talking with Craig Button, and by the way, it was me who made the mistake. I called it Craigslist, and it wasn't Rick. It was me who called it a mock draft earlier in the show. So I'll take the hit for that one. Hey, Craig, getting back to the Canucks choice, this probably won't happen. But if both Luke Hughes and Kent Johnson were available at 9, where do you go knowing the Canucks needs?
The defenseman all the way. Defenseman all the way. Hey, listen, if one of those defensemen, Brant Clark or Luke Hughes, if I felt they were available at 9, Simon Edvinsson, I'd say you got to take them. I mean, it's an area of the Vancouver Canucks depth chart, their prospect list. It is barren. And so to me, opportunities to draft real good defensemen. And perhaps, I don't know how people view Carson Lambos. I think he's a really good player. He reminds me in terms of his style of play of Nick Leddy, but I see him just a little bit further down the first round. But I think if Luke Hughes or Brant Clark were there at 9, I personally believe it's an absolute no-brainer. Got to take the defenseman.
Yeah. Expansion draft. There's so much to talk to you about, Craig. Expansion draft tomorrow. Carey Price, PK Subban, Mark Giordano, Brandon Tanev, Ryan Johansson. Is there a no-brainer? Is there a no-brainer player for Seattle to take?
Yeah, Mark Giordano. He's got 1 year left on his contract. He's got a reasonable cap hit. And it's not just what he can come in and do on your team, through the course of the season. If David Savard goes for a first-round draft pick at the trade deadline to a contender, Mark Giordano is going to get you that and more. So I don't think it's just about Mark Giordano coming, being available and selecting him. I mean, he's a quality person. He's been a captain, a great leader. He's still got game left. But at 38 years of age when the season begins, I think it's something that the Calgary Flames realize that they're going to have to lose somebody, and it gives them some cap space. But quite frankly, I said this yesterday, I don't think the price is right to take Carey Price. Both from him physically, he's been hampered by injuries in the past few years. We know that he's getting further medical evaluation on potential injuries. In 5 years at $10.5 million cap hit, I'm not doing it. I mean, if Mark Bergevin ends up, and he doesn't want to lose Carey Price, I don't want to suggest that or leave that there, but $10.5 million on a cap, that's significant for Mark Bergevin and the Montreal Canadiens if they get that. So I know that we're talking about a player that just came off a fantastic playoff round. We know the pedigree that Carey possesses, but I really do believe the price isn't right. Ryan Johansson, $8 million, there's not value there. And I think the other guy is Andre Palat. You got to extract the price. Left winger, 1 year left on his contract, great with skilled players, helps teams in so many different ways. And like Giordano, he can really push, into the future if you want to trade him at the deadline. You might even be able to do that this year by extracting more from the Tampa Bay Lightning. But those would be the two guys that I would be looking at as well. And I'll go to the net, Vitek Vanacek. Rookie goaltender. They're not protecting him in Washington, as we know. He's a good goaltender. And you get a young 25-year-old goaltender in your system. I think those are the three no-brainers.
It's like you prepared for this interview. Craig, thanks so much for this again. We could go on and on. We have Luke Prokop coming up next on our show, so we have to make room for him. Otherwise, we would go on and on. Thanks so much, Craig.
Well, make room for him because the room that needs to be made for Luke Prokop and other players that are LGBTQA and, what he did is significant. And we need to get to the day when it's just, hey, that's what it is, and it's no big deal. We're looking at people for what they do and how they perform.
Hopefully we're getting there. Thanks a lot, Craig. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.